Hello, hello, hello. Well, it has been a hot minute since I've gone live here on the Pivotcast. I'm your host, Sarah the Pivoter. And today I wanted to jump on and just share some reflections on the many micro pivots and big pivots I've had in the last year, because I realized that today, November 29th, is actually the 1 year anniversary of me being back in America. And it's very bright. So I'm putting my blue light glasses back on. Plus, they're super red. So I know you guys enjoy that. And it's just this kind of surreal experience. I got on that plane 1 year ago, and Hong Kong airport was a ghost town. Nobody was there. Half the things were closed. Um, the routes back to the States were almost non-existent. And I was packed for 2 months. I was going to be in California, in Chicago, in Denver. I was going to be in Arizona, in Sedona, and North Carolina to visit my best friend. And so I got it all in there, right? Because Hong Kong had the 3-week quarantine, which they only just lifted about a month ago, by the way. And who was that girl? Like, I'm trying to think. I've been spending a lot of time reflecting on this today. And she was Sarah the Pivoter, definitely. She looked a little bit different. Had the side shave, the Viking hairstyle. I wasn't as comfortable being myself in this space, right? So one of those micro shifts has really been letting my voice ring true. I've even started singing and allowing myself to be seen and heard for who I am, not what I think others want me to be. And so when I got on that plane, I thought I was going for a holiday. 2 months. I was going to be working while I was gone, but it was spend time with family over the holiday period, come back to Hong Kong, live my life, right? Hong Kong for me was home. I'm still a permanent resident there. But in my mind, I was just here on a visit. And so I thought about that. In the last 13 years, 14 years that I've been overseas in this past year, I had always thought of visiting America. I slowly stopped identifying as American. I mean, after all, I was first generation American. Both my parents were born in different countries and came to America later. And I grew up with very different cultural perspectives. And so that was the beginning of me feeling like I didn't belong. And I had this amazing ability because of that experience to be the translator between worlds, not language necessarily, English to Spanish to Mandarin to French, but between men and women, between maintenance personnel and pilots, between dispatchers and charter sales, between university graduates and MBA graduates. I was able to find the commonality between these two parties and create win-win situations. And that has been something I've had since I was a child. One of my mother's favorite stories was when I was very little and she realized I had premeditated a win-win solution where I wouldn't get in trouble, and the other baby in the scenario would also be happy. So that's in my DNA. So I thrived in Asia. I got on that plane quite similarly, going to China 14 years ago for a trip, for an experience, 3 weeks, traveling all around China. I went to all the major cities, saw the cultural sites, went to Hong Kong, fell in love with it, and went back and stayed for 13 years. I was in Singapore, then China, then Hong Kong. And I hadn't intended to move there. I just went on an adventure and loved it and stayed. And this time I came back, and for the first time in 13 years, I was enjoying myself in America. I wasn't judging it. I wasn't rushing to get back home. Now, America's got its problems, like every place. Everywhere you go, there's going to be things you like, things you don't like. So I'm not saying it's perfect. But what I'm saying is I finally had this experience of I'm home. This thought came into my mind when I was in Austin, Texas, when I just got out of the airplane, literally walked into the terminal, and I was like, I'm home. And I thought, that's weird. And then I saw the motto for Austin is stay weird. And I said, okay, these are my people. This is why I feel at home here. And January, if some of you have been following me for a while, remember that's when I shaved my hair off. I looked like 11 from Stranger Things. And that was a decision of mine as a bit of a social experiment, but also to just shed the old layers of me, let go of what no longer fit. And from there, my devolving process, my devolution, if you will, as coined by a friend of mine in his recent TED Talk, began even deeper. The unraveling of all my social conditioning and programming and, the programming that I chose began when I divorced my ex-husband and decided that I was no longer going to live a life for other people. I was going to live a life for me, designed by me. And I was going to regularly check in with what Sarah wanted, because I got really good at ignoring that and just making it such a luscious garden and experience for everybody else that my own foundation was not strong anymore. And that was already, my goodness, 4 years ago now, 4.5, almost 5 years ago. Where does time go? It's going to be summer 2023 before we know it. So when I think about that girl that got on the plane, I wouldn't recognize her. She walked differently. Thankfully, by then she was just wearing Vans, no more high heels. But yeah, there was still that air of urgency. I've got to rush. I've got to do it now. And I've got to do all the things. And just this kind of control. And through this last year, I've had so many micro pivots in the way that I think and the way that I eat, my habits, the way that I connect, communicate with people, the way that I relate to my environment, to the land, to the elements, right? The way that I view conversation, the way that I want to be in relationship has all transformed. And so, like a phoenix rising from the ashes, I've had many of these, what are often termed egoic deaths and rebirths this year. And it took me a little while to find my footing, right? To make sure that I enjoyed what I was doing again. I had a few different pivots and tried a few different things. I dove real deep into the online coaching space and creating programs and offerings. And then I realized just how much I loved aviation. I mean, I bought these glasses for the anti-blue light. My other ones with red lenses are called Galaxy, and they're to cut out all blue and green light. You wear them at night. Trust me, best sleep you'll ever have. You don't need melatonin. So all of these little signals started coming up, and I got better at listening. And my little sister became a flight instructor, and I won a contract with a major Star Alliance airline to deliver resilience and mindset workshops, to start coaching aviation professionals in the business aviation space, making a change. And I realized I have the keys to the kingdom here. Like, this is what I want to do. And so Sarah the Pivoter has been inspired by Rosie the Riveter. That's where I got the name. And it's come full circle. So just like The Prophet, Khalil Gibran, great book. For those of you who have not read it, highly recommend it. This has been my journey of going out, going abroad, exploring, adventuring, figuring things out, only to come back home and realize I had it all along. I knew it all along. And tapping back into that magic, that wonder. Have you ever felt like you're in this room and you're trying to strike a match against the side of the box so you can have light, and there's that spark, and it's faint, but it's there. But something in that room is just keeping the oxygen out. And so no matter how hard you try, flint rock match, everything, lighter fluid, it does not light, right? And then you get into a different room and you barely touch that match to the side, and poof, up it goes. Like, I have goosebumps thinking about it. We've all been in those situations where we are doing so many things. We're trying so hard, and that spark is just missing. We're trying to force it. And it's not until we change the environment that we realize we were just in the wrong room. That's okay. I want to go to space one day. I'm very vocal about that. I would literally give up everything. So NASA, if you're listening to this, Virgin Galactic, like all of you guys, literally come kidnap me from my house. I will go. You don't have to kidnap me. I will willingly go. I will drop it all. But in space, you can't light a match. right? You have to create the conditions for the result and the outcome that you desire. And so many of us are struggling trying to light this match for our own internal spark with the wrong environment, with the wrong tools, because some guru told us that this is the end all be all. Do this thing and you will be happy. Do this thing and you will have less stress. No, my friends, you already know the answer. All you have to do is accept it. Remove your resistance to it. And so, what I realized reflecting on this year in America was that when I removed my resistance to being in America, when I removed my resistance to being American, so many other things unlocked and unfolded for me because I was no longer fighting. I was no longer fighting who I was, who I was becoming. I was able to enjoy my time here rather than constantly judging it for what it was not, right? You don't put a fish next to a tree and then judge it for not being able to climb the tree. And yet that's what I was doing because I was comparing the US to my experience in Hong Kong, the US to my experience in whatever other country that I had spent time in. And that's not really fair, is it? It's kind of like beginning a relationship, dating someone and being like, I think you're like this poster and I want you to be like this poster. And when you're not, I'm not going to like you. It doesn't work that way, right? And eventually, it crumbles. And so when I released that resistance, I was able to step into who I was becoming. I was able to accept myself. And it was like a breath of fresh air. It was like those oxygen masks had been deployed and I was too busy running around putting them on everybody else, or like literally just blinders stuck over here that I didn't even see that it was right next to me. Once I got that oxygen mask on, though, let me tell you, oxygen is your best friend. Breath work, just breathing, can have profound effects. You lower your cortisol, you lower your adrenaline, you can think more clearly. And when we have clarity, we're certain. When we're certain, we take action, and action is the antidote to feeling stuck. Anytime I've been feeling stuck or like I'm going through molasses, simply deciding something, anything, what I'm going to eat for dinner, what color shirt I'm going to put on, just making a decision helps. It doesn't matter what you decide, it matters that you decide. And so I realized I don't have to fit in a label, right? I don't have to be an expat. I don't have to be American or not American or, identify overly with these labels. Labels are something that we use for shortcuts to be able to quickly have information about someone. But guess what? That's when we make assumptions. That's when we start to put story around things. Now, this is how our society is designed. I mean, we need these labels and assumptions to go about our day. If we didn't know that the light was red meant don't go, we might walk into the middle of oncoming traffic, right? So it serves a purpose. But one of my biggest lessons this year is just realizing how everything has a serve and a limit. Even the things we label positive and even the things we label negative, because everyone's experience is different. And so being here has just made me realize how multifaceted not only am I, but everyone is. And we can be different things at different times. We have full permission to pivot. And that's what really was the crux of my permission to pivot methodology, bringing in all this neuroscience and this psychology and business acumen and working with professionals in the aviation space, which is super dynamic, being able to deal with ultra high net worth individuals, clients, sometimes they're like toddlers with money. And other times they are the most brilliant minds you'll ever meet. Depends on what mood they're in, right? Depends on what mood you're in to receive them. And so this is my reflection. Breathing and creating space is the best thing you can do for yourself and for your business. Try it right now. Take a deep breath in through the nose. Literally changes your physiology. Something very simple to do is just breathe in through the nose, sigh out through the mouth audibly. That is actually physically reducing some of the stress. It feels great. And if you just do that 5 or 6 times, really slowing down the inhale and exhale, you're going to literally change how fast your heart is beating, the rate at which the oxygen is flowing through your bloodstream and getting into your brain, to your stomach. Slowing down the breath signals to your brain that it's time to rest and digest, or feed and breed, as one of my friends said. When we're trying to fight a tiger or run away from a tiger, your body doesn't care about digestion, doesn't care about your libido. Those are not important right now because you are in crisis. So, how can you get out of crisis mode? Change your breathing patterns, bring awareness to it. And as you do this, you will start to bring your awareness to other things in your life. Notice where you're holding resistance. Notice where you're creating judgments or story around something, whether that's past, present, or future. We all do it. We're human beings and we bond through story. We connect this way. And this is why when you hear that I've had 17 years of experience in aviation and 15 years working with private jets, if you're in that industry, you feel seen and heard. Because I know what it's like to have a miscommunication between a pilot and a dispatcher. I know what it's like to be running late on your slot time and be on the tarmac and your departure permit hasn't been stamped yet and you're running tight on duty time. I know what it's like to be on call 24/7 and not get enough rest, to the point where when your partner's phone goes off at night, it wakes you up out of a deep sleep because you've been programmed to do that. I know what it's like to feel like you're drowning because you're the only one that can do it because it's a small team. It doesn't have to be that way, though. You can use your breath and change things right now. So if you've been really struggling with this in your teams, ask them to just breathe. I'm doing a session on this with Renee O'Shaughnessy at Schedulers and Dispatchers in January from MBAA. And we're going to be in Nashville, Tennessee. Our session is called Just Breathe because we are recognizing finally as an industry how important this actually is. And the easier you can self-regulate yourself and your emotions and your stress, the easier it becomes to co-manage the environment around you. And people do as you do. They don't do as you say. It's like children, right? If you tell them not to do something and they witness you doing the same thing you just told them not to do, they will not do it or they'll do it behind your back. And so it's really about embodying the change that you desire. Knowing that there is another way, you have full permission to pivot. I actually have here my permission slip. I don't even know if you guys can see it because it's going to be blurred out. Oh, there we go. I give myself permission too. And I have got a whole list of things on here. Change, be successful, be myself, build my business, ask for help, and receive it. Be a leader, be seen, dance, breathe, believe, play. Play should be at the top of the list, but what is at the top is have fun in my life and business, relax, eat, rest without guilt. These are some of the things that you get to do. And so if you've been struggling to find that really integrated lifestyle that feels good and nourishing for you, whip out a piece of paper and a pen and write out a permission slip for yourself. Because this is going to be how you expand what your capabilities are. Sometimes we just need the reminder. I might be shallow breathing and not be aware. But then I look over at this and I can remember, oh, take a deep breath, fill that diaphragm up, allow the rib cage to go to the sides and back. And when I have more oxygen in my body, my brain is operating at a different speed. I'm more efficient. I'm more productive. My performance goes up. Clients are happier. I'm happier. My partner's happier. When I get a dog, my puppy's going to be happier. So all of this has come from that year of pivoting because I was in different states. I was traveling more than a pilot before COVID. I was constantly on the road and it was great. I get to run my business from anywhere. And I work at different hours. I have different work boundaries. I work with Asia a lot still, so I'm sometimes working in my very early morning or evening hours, and that's okay. But that constant pivoting has also taught me that we need an anchor. So we want to be like a ship and that might be out at sea or in a harbor in a small cove, and we drop anchor, right? That keeps us in one place so that we can go to sleep and we don't drift out into the open sea, right? We're protected. But the boat can move around on the surface, right? We still have the anchor down to keep us in place. We feel secure, we're safe, but we can explore. And so moving to Austin, end of September, really gave me that anchor. And I felt that anchor when I was here in January. I felt it when I was here in March, and I had it when I moved here. And I'm so grateful to have been able to plug into a community so well and seamlessly. Truly, when things are in alignment, they flow. I want you to think about a time that everything was just working really, really well. Was it effort? Was it hard? Did you have to work really hard to have that, or did it just simply unfold? That is the magic of being in alignment with success, in putting new possibilities into your realm by aiming at impossible targets, by allowing yourself to dream and giving yourself permission to chase those dreams, even if they seem unlikely. It might be unlikely that I go to space tomorrow, but I sure as hell am not going to stop talking about it. And it's already led to conversations with people in that industry. And you never know where that leads, right? So find the thing that's like that match striking, that's the spark for you, so that you have your own light and you get to be inviting others to do the same. When you are yourself, you give other people permission to show up and to live life differently. And that's what I hope I'm doing for you guys. Whenever I come on these lives, whenever I share, I hope that you walk away with a little nugget of inspiration, a hope that it can be different, because it can be. All you have to do is choose it. And once you realize that, once you make that choice and you claim it for yourself, literally, there is no limit. I'm in aviation. The sky's not even the limit. Let's go up into the stratosphere. Let's push the boundaries. Let's get in amongst the stars. Let's do something different, right? All you have to do is choose it and believe it. And so as I am watching this beautiful sunset out the window here in Austin, I'm listening to the sounds in the kitchen. My partner's making dinner. I just want to express gratitude to everyone who's been here on the journey with me. I know some of you like to watch in the background. Some of you have reached out to me. Some of you are already my clients. And I appreciate every single one of you. I appreciate you seeing me and hearing me. I appreciate you asking questions. So I would like to offer this invitation. If there's someone in your life that you're grateful for, that has done something that has really inspired you, that has simply given you that permission, whether they knew it or not, to take action on something, to do something different, I want you to send them a message. It can be a handwritten note. It could be a Post-it on the fridge. It could be a text. It could be an email. And just let them know how they were that spark for you, how they changed something in your life for the better. Gratitude begets gratitude. And as we plug into that energy, we get more of the same. And we become more aware of the things in our life that are going pretty damn well. It can be easy to get sucked into doomsday scrolling and all the things that are going wrong. But when we shift the focus and we pivot, we stop focusing on the whole and we just enjoy the damn donut. I think it's about time that we enjoyed the damn donut without guilt. Just allow yourself to enjoy what you're doing in this present moment. Find the reason to be grateful. Well, 24 minutes in, I wasn't expecting to chat this long, but it's been a while since I've been on here. I appreciate all of you that have jumped on live, that have stayed with me, that are going to watch the replay. I love all of you. I'm grateful for you, and I'm inspired. Keep on doing the things that you're doing. And if you are a woman in aviation, I'm going to be speaking at Women in Aviation in Long Beach in February. If you are a scheduler and dispatcher or are attending the conference in January, come find me for the Just Breathe session, or come find me in general during the event. I would love to connect. And for those of you who may not have had a chance to meet with me in person just yet or have a chat, if you've been dying to, because, that can happen, then send me a message. Let's jump on a quick 20-minute call and see what that spark is for you. I love to connect with people. I also love to find guests for the Pivot Cast. I'm going to be resuming my interview series in the new year, and I really want to focus on those stories of the spark, the inspiration, the connection. It's all about people and that cultivation of working together, growing things together. And so if you have a story to tell, if you have a tool that has been like pivotal in your growth process that you'd like to share, or you'd simply just like to have a rad time on a conversation that is going to get recorded and you might have some cool sound bites, send me a message and we'll get you scheduled in. I would love to talk with you. For those of you that might be wanting a little bit of deeper work, just send me a message and we'll have a chat about what makes sense for you. We can design something that's going to work with your lifestyle and your goals. I'll talk to you guys soon.